A daughter goes to visit a friend, but by 11 p.m., she still hasn't come back. A worried South Korean mother calls the police, desperately seeking help. This leads to the uncovering of a case within a case. A man who once tirelessly raised funds for his sick daughter and gained sympathy as an angelic father was, in reality, a monster in disguise. He harmed his daughter's classmate and forced his wife into prostitution. His bestial actions are appalling and unforgivable. Let's dive into this shocking and infuriating case that has left the Korean public in disbelief. Late at night on September 30th, 2017, a concerned South Korean mother made an urgent call to the police. She told the dispatcher that her daughter, Kim, a second-year middle school student, had gone out earlier that day to visit a friend but hadn't returned home, even though it was already 11 p.m. She had contacted her daughter's friend, who confirmed they had met up but had parted ways hours earlier. When Kim didn't return home, her mother grew increasingly worried. She explained that Kim usually came home before dark when she went out, and even if she stayed out a bit late, she would always let her family know. This had never happened before. What made things worse was that Kim had her phone with her, but it was turned off and she couldn't be reached. Concerned, the dispatcher took down all the details and advised the mother to go to the nearest police station to file a report, as officers who were fully informed would be able to help find her daughter more quickly. Following this advice, the mother soon arrived at the station and explained the situation to the officers again. Kim's mother also mentioned that her daughter had gone missing after visiting her friend Ayun Lee's house and asked if it would be possible to check the security cameras in that area to see where her daughter had gone. At the time, the officers didn't think much of her concern, assuming it was just another case of a rebellious 14-year-old running away, something they saw often. To them, the child was most likely out having fun. "Don't worry too much, Mrs. Kim. Go home and wait patiently. Your daughter will probably be back by tomorrow," they reassured her. With no other options, Kim's mother reluctantly went back home. But the next day, her daughter was still missing, and it wasn't until several days later that the police finally began a formal investigation into the situation. Upon reviewing the security footage from around Ayun Lee's house, the police found footage of Kim entering Ayun's home on September 30th, but no footage of her leaving. After conducting a more in-depth investigation on October 5th, the sixth day following Kim's disappearance, the police finally apprehended a suspect. It was Ayun Lee's father, Lee Young-hak. The case took a bizarre twist, connecting the missing child to her friend's father. What made it even more shocking was that Lee Young-hak had previously written books, appeared on television, and was celebrated over a decade ago as an angelic father who had touched the hearts of the Korean public. And so, a case that would leave the entire nation outraged was about to unfold. In December 2005, a deeply moving documentary aired on South Korea's MBC TV's program. The story centered on a family facing immense hardships, and in particular, a father named Lee Young-hak, known as the Molar Daddy. At the age of 9, Lee was diagnosed with an extremely rare condition called gigantic cementoma. This disease causes abnormal cementum to accumulate around the roots of the teeth, forming masses within the mouth. In severe cases, the buildup can push out the cheeks, leading to facial deformities, bite misalignment, and a face resembling that of a hippopotamus. Gigantic cementoma, a rare disease, is hereditary and related to family history. When Lee Young-hak was young, all of his family's savings went to treating his condition. He underwent numerous surgeries, which involved the removal of nearly all of his gums and jawbone, leaving only 2 molars. This earned him the nickname Molar Daddy on the show. As time passed, the painful memories of his childhood gradually faded. At 21, Lee Young-hak married and had a daughter, Ayun Lee. However, to his shock, the same condition appeared in his daughter when she was just 6 months old. Abnormal cementum began to accumulate on Ayun's tiny jaw. Over the span of a year, her face became increasingly swollen and distorted. In the documentary, 23-year-old Lee Young-hak appeared devastated, lamenting his inability to earn enough money to provide a better life for his wife and child, instead passing down this condition to his daughter. The show generated a huge response. Such a rare disease and a sweet child disfigured by it. The family's tireless efforts to find treatment deeply touched the hearts of many South Koreans. Thanks to the program's influence, over 1.3 billion won, approximately $1.1 million, was raised in a short period, enabling Ayun to undergo surgery successfully. By 2007, Lee Young-hak, who had become known to the public's generosity, even wrote a book titled Daddy's Happiness. The book detailed the family's journey, from Lee's own struggles with the disease to his daughter's diagnosis, recounting their hardships and desperate efforts to raise money for treatment, while expressing gratitude for the kindness of strangers. But now, this once widely admired Molar Daddy was a suspect in a teenage girl's disappearance. The stark contrast immediately drew immense public attention. Police disclosed that while there was footage of Kim entering Ayun Lee's home, there was no footage of her leaving. It wasn't until 3 days later that surveillance captured Lee Young-hak and his daughter dragging a large brown suitcase out of the building and placing it in their car before driving away. This suspicious behavior immediately drew police attention to Lee Young-hak. Moreover, when they tried to review the car's driving data, they discovered that after getting into the vehicle, Lee Young-hak had removed the dash cam. The car traveled from Seoul's Yunnan district to the mountainous area of Gangwon Province's Yeongwol County at speeds reaching up to 200 kilometers per hour. This odd behavior raised more red flags. Additionally, Lee Young-hak had a criminal record, with multiple instances of sexual offenses dating back to his middle school years, making him a strong suspect in this case. As the investigation deepened, police tracked the vehicle's route and, half a month after Kim's disappearance, found her body in a remote mountain area in Yeongwol County, Gangwon Province. As the truth came to light, Lee Young-hak tried to defend himself, claiming that while he had indeed harmed Kim, it was merely an accident. He alleged that Kim, who had come over to play, mistakenly consumed sleeping pills he had intended to use to end his own life, leading to her accidental death. In a state of panic, he said he decided to dispose of the body. However, this explanation was far from convincing. The police autopsy on Kim revealed that the girl had 2 broken ribs, marks of strangulation on her neck, and had engaged in sexual activity prior to her death. But Lee Young-hak's DNA was not found inside her body. The injuries Kim sustained did not match Lee Young-hak's previous statements. Faced with the police's evidence, Lee Young-hak could not hold his ground and had to confess the truth. Kim, who was 14 years old, was assaulted and then injured by him. What is puzzling is that his own daughter, Ayun Lee, also 14 years old, was an accomplice in her father's heinous crime. It turned out that more than a month before the crime, Lee Young-hak's wife had passed away in an accident, leaving the father and daughter to rely on each other. After his wife's death, Lee Young-hak often told his daughter that since her mother was no longer there, she should help him find a new mother. On the day of the crime, September 30th, Lee Young-hak instructed his daughter to send a text message inviting a female classmate to come over and play at their home. Ayun Lee did not choose a specific person, but sent this message to everyone. Eventually, the innocent Kim accepted the invitation and came to Lee Young-hak's house. After Kim arrived, Lee Young-hak took out a drink that he had prepared in advance, which contained sleeping pills. Under the daughter's coaxing, Kim drank the beverage. When the effect of the drug took place, Lee Young-hak sent his daughter away, telling Ayun Lee to go out and play and to come back later. Lee Young-hak had a large number of adult products at home, and with various props, he launched a violent attack on Kim. During this period, Kim woke up due to the pain and fiercely resisted. Lee Young-hak, in a fit of madness, grabbed a belt prop and strangled the girl to death. Kim's time of death was in the early morning of October 1st. It is hard to imagine that Ayun Lee, knowing everything and being involved, could lie to Kim's mother on the phone with great ease, completely disregarding the anxiety on the mother's end of the line. Upon returning home, confronted with the body of her classmate Kim and the heinous acts of her father, Ayun Lee naturally assisted her father in placing the body into a suitcase, moving it to the car, and accompanying him to dispose of it. It is incomprehensible to everyone what kind of family this was, where the father could commit such a conscienceless act, and a child of only 14 could cooperate throughout the process without any guilt. The police attempted to find the reasons for the father and daughter's actions, and in the subsequent investigation, more horrifying secrets were unearthed. When the police searched Lee Young-hak's home, they inadvertently discovered photos and videos of his wife, Cho Mi-sun, engaging in relations with more than 10 men. In Lee Young-hak's computer chat records, He appeared to be selling and disseminating these films. More importantly, a month before Kim's death, Lee Young-hak's wife, Cho Mi-sun, had reported to the police that she had been subjected to assault by Lee Young-hak's stepfather for 8 years. After the report, the police found the stepfather's DNA in Cho Mi-sun's body. But considering the span of time was as long as 8 years, why didn't she report the assault immediately when it happened? The police could not make an accurate judgment about whether the relationship between the stepfather and daughter-in-law was voluntary or forced, so they did not immediately arrest the stepfather, but only interrogated him. Regarding Cho Mi-sun's allegations, the stepfather had his own story, stating that they did have a relationship, but it was not forced by him. Everything happened under Cho Mi-sun's seduction. With both sides sticking to their stories and the investigation still ongoing, an unexpected incident occurred. Cho Mi-sun mysteriously jumped off the balcony from her home's bathroom. How could someone who had just reported the case a few days ago and was determined to seek justice choose to end her life during the investigation? Surveillance footage captured Lee Young-hak and his daughter arriving quickly at the scene after Cho Mi-sun jumped from the window. They showed no signs of surprise or grief as they watched her, calmly making phone calls. When Ayun Lee, the daughter, arrived, the first thing she did was take photos, and neither of them bent down to check on Cho Mi-sun's condition. When the ambulance arrived, neither Lee nor his daughter accompanied her to the hospital for emergency care. Cho Mi-sun was pronounced dead after unsuccessful resuscitation at the hospital. The police inspected Cho Mi-sun's body and found her back covered with obscene and derogatory tattoos, along with significant bruising and evidence of physical abuse. At that point, police brought in Lee Young-hak for questioning. He admitted that on the day of the incident, the couple had argued about her relationship with his stepfather. In his anger, he hit her with a pesticide bottle, which caused the bruises on her body. Cho Mi-sun had some bleeding, so Lee handed her some tissues. After that, Cho went to the bathroom to clean the blood, and during this time, she jumped out of the bathroom window. Indeed, tissues were found at the scene, and blood-stained tissues were found in the Lee family home. During the investigation, Lee also produced a printed suicide note, allegedly left by his wife before her death. The note mainly discussed how she could no longer endure the abuse inflicted by Lee's stepfather and decided to take her own life. While there were many questions surrounding Cho Mi-sun's death, the police couldn't find any solid evidence at the time. After Cho Mi-sun's death, Lee Young-hak filed a lawsuit against his stepfather. But shortly after the legal proceedings began, the stepfather was found hanged in his own home, having also left behind a printed suicide note. In the note, he wrote that he felt ashamed about what had happened and wished for the police to uncover the truth, claiming he was falsely accused. With both Cho Mi-sun and the stepfather dead, the case was left unresolved. A man who was once seen as a sympathetic angelic father now stood accused of murdering his daughter's friend and disposing of her body. Having a wife with multiple sex tapes involving other men, a wife covered with degrading tattoos, and a mysterious death, as well as a daughter who coldly aided in his crimes. Both the police and the media were determined to dig deeper into how much darkness and hidden guilt surrounded this man. Born in 1982 in Yongju, Gyeongsangbuk-do, South Korea, Lee Young-hak grew up with an older brother and sister. In the 3rd grade of elementary school, Lee Young-hak suffered from odontoma, a condition that led to frequent bullying and difficulty in social interactions. It wasn't until he underwent 5 surgeries and was left with only 2 molars that his condition was brought under control. Perhaps the constant ridicule and exclusion during his early years twisted his personality. From middle school onwards, Lee Young-hak's temperament drastically changed, committing multiple sexual offenses, assaulting female students who passed by, and boasting to his classmates about his experiences of bullying girls. After graduating from middle school, Lee Young-hak's parents divorced due to business failure, and his mother later remarried. Following high school, he ceased his education to work. During this period, he frequently engaged in indecent and harmful acts towards women, with most of his criminal records being established in this phase, including his relationship with Cho Mi-sun. At the age of 14, Cho Mi-sun was victimized by Lee Young-hak. Given her soft personality and lack of assertiveness, coupled with the shame felt by her parents, Cho Mi-sun unwillingly married Lee Young-hak. In 2003, Cho Mi-sun gave birth to their daughter, Ayun Lee. At the time of the birth, Lee Young-hak was 21 and Cho Mi-sun was 17. When Ayun Lee was 3 years old, she was diagnosed with the same disease as her father. The family's story, packaged and aired by the South Korean TV network MBC, caused a massive sensation and was widely reported. It was subsequently featured in documentaries and storytelling programs on KBS and SBS, and Lee Young-hak capitalized on the opportunity to amass a fortune. Relying on people's kindness and sympathy, the family raised as much as 1.3 billion won in donations, with an additional 200 million won in medical aid from South Korea. After receiving such a large sum, less than 200 million was spent on the daughter's treatment. The remainder was largely spent on Lee Young-hak himself. He purchased numerous luxury vehicles, registering them under the names of his siblings and other family members to evade taxes. The family also bought multiple properties. Lee Young-hak underwent plastic surgery to get double eyelids, and even spent 40 million won on tattoos for himself, while his wife was tattooed with demeaning words. He subjected his wife to long-term domestic violence, and given Cho Mi-sun's timid nature, she gradually accepted her position in the household, unable to muster the will to resist. What did Lee Young-hak do for a living? He used the donations to open a massage parlor, primarily for sexual transactions. He not only forced his wife into prostitution, but also secretly filmed and distributed the proceedings for profit. In addition, Lee Young-hak recruited girls aged 10 to 20 who had run away from home and were inexperienced in the ways of the world for his flesh trade. Cho Mi-sun, who had long suffered from her husband's abuse, died in a bizarre manner by jumping from a height. On the other side of the story, Lee Young-hak swiftly registered on a dating website, openly writing that he was seeking a partner. In such a family environment, with a father who held values akin to those of a beast, Ayun Lee grew up in an abnormal setting from birth until she assisted in the crime. Her worldview had long been distorted by her father. Ayun Lee's attachment to her father was extremely high, far exceeding the emotional level of a child towards their parents, reaching a point of no judgment, merely obeying his every word, which ultimately led to the tragedy of Kim's death. Lee Young-hak's true face was completely exposed, despised by thousands, almost to the point where everyone in South Korea petitioned for his death penalty. The death penalty in South Korea is very cautiously handed out, and it has been many years since the last execution. So, what kind of trial would someone as heinous as Lee Young-hak face? On February 21, 2018, the trial of Lee Young-hak commenced. In the first instance judgment, he was sentenced to death for multiple charges, including rape, kidnapping, drug involvement, and corpse abandonment. His daughter, Ayun Lee, as an accomplice, and being over 14 years old, was sentenced to 6 years in prison to be served in a juvenile correctional facility. Following the first instance judgment, Lee Young-hak appealed, dissatisfied with the punishment. On September 6, 2018, the second trial took place. This time, incredibly, the judge accepted Lee Young-hak's testimony, believing that he had not premeditated and that it was a crime of passion. Furthermore, because Lee Young-hak had sought treatment for his daughter Ayun Lee, demonstrating a sense of responsibility as a father, the death penalty was deemed too cruel. Lee Young-hak's sentence was commuted to life imprisonment, and Ayun Lee's sentence was reduced to 4 years of imprisonment. After the second trial, the victim's family protested in court, and the public jointly petitioned the Blue House, demanding the death penalty for Lee Young-hak. On October 29, 2018, the Supreme Court rejected the appeals of both the prosecution and Lee Young-hak, and he was ultimately sentenced to life imprisonment. However, life imprisonment in South Korea can be reduced through parole, pardons, and other conditions. This means that there is still a possibility that Lee Young-hak could return to society one day. It is also worth mentioning that Kim's mother reported to the police the moment her daughter did not come home, but the officers considered the matter insignificant and did not respond. If the police had taken the situation seriously and checked on Lee Young-hak's home, this tragedy would not have occurred, and the police also bear an inescapable responsibility. After the case, the official announcement stated that the 9 police officers involved were punished with dismissal, suspension, and disciplinary action, and the government paid 180 million won in compensation to the victim's family. But what uses money? 14-year-old Kim will never come back.